Hey everyone, this is the Hipster Snek, and this President's Day, Dutako and I went to see Sonic the Hedgehog in theaters. Yeah, that was quite a trip. I'll be perfectly honest, when this movie was first announced, it looked like it was going to be Super Mario Brothers the movie 2. I had huge doubts about the cast, I had enormous doubts about the setting, and I had basically zero hope for the script being any good because the first trailer it was really aggressively unfunny. Just all the jokes were bombs, and I was like, "This movie is dead on arrival." I mean, it didn't help matters that there was leaked promotional art or alleged leaked promotional art showing that Chris Pratt had at one point been involved. I actually don't know if that's true or if that's been debunked yet, but it was a little bit of a letdown since Chris Pratt's gotten so popular in the wake of Jurassic World and Guardians of the Galaxy. But I can happily say I was dumb and wrong. Sonic the Hedgehog, the movie, is actually really good. With my doubts about casting, it started because I didn't know who James Marsden was, who plays Tom, the lead human in the movie. And he actually carries the role really well. He's very charismatic. He has that chemistry, both with his wife, played by Tika Sumter. I hope I'm saying that right, and he really bounces off Sonic as a character really, really well. And I didn't think Jim Carrey had any energy left in him, but honestly, seeing his performance as Dr. Robotnik slash Eggman and seeing the sheer amount of kinetic force behind this man, it was like I was transported back to the 90s and it was like seeing Jim Carrey circa The Mask on the screen again. And that was actually a really good feeling. What really drives the film forward is the friendship that Sonic forges with Tom. And the two characters, they take time to warm up to each other. In the first act, Sonic is in the real world, he's in our world, and has to accept the fact that he's a weirdo. And there's even a very entertaining bit where Tom goes like, "What even are you anyway?" And Sonic goes, "I'm a hedgehog. I thought that should be perfectly obvious." Yeah, we should actually touch on that. The movie has an entirely new and original backstory for Sonic. And I think it's actually the best compromise. There are still people who are married to the Sat-Am slash Archie continuity. I mean, never mind the fact that that continuity is utter garbage. But this was probably the best way to get around the issues between the Sega Sonic canon and the Archie canon for Sonic's backstory. They simply sidestepped it and did their own thing with it. Now, the beautiful part about it is you actually see the world where Sonic hails from, and he talks about it in brief in the first opening minutes of the film. I think it works really well. It kind of acts as fan service for those who are big on the games, and it also kind of helps ease people into the idea of the premise of the film because it starts off, he's this weird creature, but he comes from this really weird world initially. And he's raised by an owl who I believe her name was Longclaw. I could be misremembering that. She's not in the film long. But it actually is like this parental figure or a teacher figure that Sonic has. And the movie actually kind of starts off a little bit on a downer note, which I was not expecting. I was not expecting any real heart or depth or warmth in this film. And I was pleasantly surprised because of this. I'm going to touch on that a little bit more here in a bit, but Sonic himself is a little bit different from how we see him in like Sonic Boom or Sonic X or the Sonic Adventure titles. He has lived on Earth for about 10 years when the story first starts. And because he's had to always hide from people, he ends up living in this backwater town, very cleverly called Green Hills out in Montana. And he's this hyperactive fuzzball who wants to be part of this community that he kind of spies on all this time. And his social isolation actually kind of gives him issues. He talks to himself, he argues with himself in this really hyperactive, very anxious way. And it works. I actually think it works, and it makes the movie Sonic very endearing because you kind of sympathize with him. It's like one of his primary driving characteristics is his loneliness from living on the planet by himself without really being able to talk to anyone for over 10 years. And so Sonic is still the hyperactive hero who's a little bit overconfident, but they balance him out by having him have these issues that he's also working through as the story progresses. And this is what makes his friendship with Tom so legitimate. The two click because Tom is this very, oh, I'm a big fish in a small pond. People don't really need me here. Maybe I should move to a big city where I'll be appreciated more. And I'll admit the opening minutes of the film drag a little bit because of this plot point, but it actually pays off. Tom ends up being a really likable, really interesting character in his own right, and he has that Chris Pratt kind of charisma to him. I actually really want him to show up not only in a theoretical sequel, but more films in general. This guy's really great. James Marsden. Yeah. He carried the film incredibly well, and it wasn't like a Smurfs situation where the humans were tacked on simply because it was a formula that Hollywood knew would work. They actually click and they have this friendly chemistry, Sonic and Tom, and I actually enjoyed watching the characters bond and figure out, oh, Sonic wants to figure out more Earth customs. And one of the big things the movie focuses on is Tom brings up the concept of a bucket list. And Sonic's like, oh, this all this cool stuff I want to do. And it adds a level of human sincerity to this CGI character. As a whole, the movie plays action comedy really well. There are some bits that do drag a little bit longer than they should. It does feel like there was a little bit of filler just to hit that hour and a half mark, but it's very genuine. I really like seeing the character building moments, and the action scenes are all done excellently. For starters, Sonic, despite being CG rendered, looks like he has physical weight and presence. An issue with early CG films, Garfield the movie springs to mind, is there's a moment where John's supposed to be lifting Garfield and it's very obvious he's hugging air. That doesn't happen here. Sonic looks like he's actually there. It looks like he's actually casting a shadow, and it looks like he's actually hitting things when he's doing like a spin dash, for instance. There's a kinetic weight and a real speed, I guess is the best word for it, to Sonic's movements and the way that he is animated into this world. I have not seen CG integrated this seamlessly into a film like this so well before. And speaking of the action comedy, they play the comedy really well too. Some jokes don't work, that there's a few moments that have obviously been trimmed down from their trailer counterparts, where Jim Carrey's Dr. Robotnik is supposed to carry on and be a little bit more of an obnoxious heel. They trimmed a bit of those down, so it's much more fluid. And also, the movie embraces memes without becoming obnoxious about it. A good example of this is early on, you learn about Crazy Carl, one of the residents at Green Hills, and he has seen Sonic and has started to refer to him as the Blue Devil, and he does this crayon drawing of the Sonic meme. And it's only on screen for like maybe 5 seconds. But I busted out laughing just because, like, oh my God, they're really just embracing how silly this concept is and they're running with it. And I absolutely love that aspect of the film. That they kind of know that the source material is silly, but they embrace all of it and make this at the same time really good action buddy cop film out of that same source material, despite that. Now, I'm going to put on my tinfoil cap and do a little bit of speculation based on something that we see at the opening minutes of the film. When we see Sonic's world, there's a bit where his owl teacher / mother figure tells him that because he has powers, because he has his supersonic speed and his amazing athleticism, there's always going to be someone who wants to use that power for their own ends. And as she's giving him this lecture, a herd of echidna warriors, you heard me, appear and attack them. Now, the way they're drawn and the armor that they're wearing not only makes it very clear that they are in fact echidnas, but they also look a lot like the ancient Echidna tribe as they appeared in Sonic Adventure. Now, this is just my speculation, and I could be dead wrong, but this, I think, is the perfect building block upon which to construct the sequel. All they would have to do is introduce a city somewhere in the world called Station Square that looks like some kind of fusion of New York and San Francisco, and then have the Chaos Emeralds and the Chaos Monster introduce, Tails, Knuckles, and maybe Amy, trim down the excess stuff. We don't really need Big's big fishing adventure or Gamma, who ultimately was not that important to character, and actually have a Sonic Adventure adaptation. And if it's the same team that does a sequel and takes that idea and runs with it, yeah, guaranteed, take my money. I am there for sure. Now, all that aside, were there issues with the film? Yes. For starters, the soundtrack was very hit or miss. I never really thought it detracted from the film as a whole. I don't think I even heard Gangsta's Paradise in the film, and if it wasn't there, I just flat out missed it. And as said, there are little bits that do drag on, but they won't detract that much. Honestly, I give this film a very well-earned B+. I hope there's a sequel. I hope we get to see Perfect Chaos or Supersonic. I will say there is a post-credit sequence. Stay and watch it. If you are a fan of Sonic, you will like it. And honestly, it was a really well-done film. Between this and Detective Pikachu, I can say that the era of crappy video game movies could well be behind us. And this is the Hipster Snek with our first movie review here on Snek Talks. Signing off for now, and I'll see you next time. Hey everyone, this is the Hipster Snek. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that I'm holding a bit of a contest. You see, the channel's rapidly approaching 100 subscribers, which is a milestone I never dreamed I would hit within the first year of the channel's activity. That in mind, I am opening a poll both on my YouTube comment section under the page itself and on the Twitter at HipsterSnek, where you can vote for a game you want me to review for the 100 subscriber special. The only limitation is it has to be something that I have a means of playing, and it can't be something that gets me banned off YouTube for having played it. That said, go wild. Whatever game you want me to cover for the 100 sub special, I will do when that time comes. So be sure to leave your vote either in the comment section on my YouTube channel or on the pinned tweet at HipsterSnek. When the subtotal crests 100, that will be the time that video is the next to go live. That'll give you something to look forward to, and I will see you there.